All right, everyone, how you doing? At the right place, right time. Also, the fact that you are here with us is always nice. It's always beautiful. It's always a wonderful thing. This is SNN Street News Now. We congregate I do mean every Thursday. Catch us at 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 8 p.m. on the Central Time, and of course, we have 6 p.m. on the West Coast. And so we're here as we do it every Thursday, waiting for you to come on board to the comment section. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel and type in SNN Street News Now. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share as we make sure that we have everybody here. We can't do it without you. 6 guys and you when we're here. And no matter what number we have, we're always here with you. Make sure you catch us on Facebook Live, Twitter, and Twitch. The Masters of Intellectual Chaos is about to congregate. Our fearless leader, Lee Michaels, will be with us momentarily. But I have to bring in, of course, everybody else to make the show complete. Let's bring forth Dr. Ron Ford. Dr. Ron Ford, how you doing?
Top of the evening to you, my brother. How you doing?
Good. How's everything in your world?
Man, I am still glad to be alive.
And that's your story, sticking to it no matter. We can see you being alive, so that's stating the obvious.
I understand. But some people are alive and don't know it.
That sounds like a Minister Farrakhan speech. the Walking Dead, my brother. So it's
yes.
As that feels to it.
Absolutely. Got it. Yeah.
Our brother Mike Love will join us momentarily. And we bring forth Mr. Buck Wilde. What's up, Buck?
I forgot that I was going to be on a little bit earlier. So I'm sitting up here chewing on this last little bit of cookie I got, but, you caught me. But you know what?
Yes,
you
sir.
said you were given the times, right? On the Central Time, on the Eastern, on the Mountain, or whatever.
Right.
Would you believe, finally, Congress has passed the bill. I don't know where it is at this point, but the bill to make daylight savings time permanent.
Yeah, I caught that.
So, it's about time. Man, how many years we've been doing this stupid stuff? I mean, it's so stupid. And I was like, come on. Glad to see that. Anyway.
Well, for real.
And one more correction.
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead. Sure.
You said, we can't do it without you. But guess what? We actually can, but we'd much rather you joined us, because otherwise we just sit up here talking to ourselves, and we don't like that.
Duly noted.
Yeah, we can talk to ourselves all night, but we'd rather.
Well, somebody's going to eavesdrop, so we continue on regardless. But it's always fun when we have people chime, of course, in the comment section to get their point of view as well. So we can rock and roll, but we must rock and roll with people coming on board as well. So it's always nice, as I said before. It's always nice, beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah. So without further ado, we're going to get started into the whole thing. Let's bring forth the man who can start us off, Dr. Ron Ford.
Oh, I get to go first? Okay.
You act like you're surprised. Are you kidding, really?
I'm auditioning. This is gonna be my audition tape, so I'm practicing my dramatic entrance.
All right. I lost an ear. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm paying attention though.
Okay. So last week I gave you all a teaser about the conversation on this week. And last week it was like breaking news, but this week is just a follow-up to what's been going on in this saga, continuous saga.
Ongoing.
Yes, ongoing. Well, in Chicago, as we all know, we had this Empire star that was found guilty and sentenced to do time in Cook County for lying to the police. So whoever has not done that, you won't understand this story. So the Cook County State's Attorney, Miss Kim Fox, originally when this case hit her desk, she had told her subordinates, because she removed herself from the case because she knew who Jesse Smollett was. So she didn't have a direct control of what was going on. She said, well, y'all handle this, but by the way, just get rid of the case. So on last week, when the judge sentenced him to the time in jail and then the time to the money to pay back to the Chicago Police Department, all of these things that the judge did, you know, she didn't think it was fair. And she made some statements and comments about it to one of the local journals, TBT News. She made a direct article to them. And she said that this is a case where our justice system failed. And, in the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about, how the justice system is not fair, it's not right, it needs to be repaired, it needs to be fixed. There's a lot of things wrong with the justice system that, we have been talking about on a federal level, what, justice reform would look like. And this is on a state level. So she even agreed in her department in Chicago that the tactics that were used to bring this man allegedly to justice was, it was all political. He became a pawn for the political system in the Chicagoland area. They had given him a sentence, a fine, community service, and the case was over with. Well, the police department went in an uproar talking about, well, we don't think that this was justice served. So they started raising hell. They started telling her how to do her job. And as it came, they hired a special prosecutor who presented a case. And in presenting that case, he got a conviction. And then last week they had the sentence. But this whole entire scenario came about as a political witch hunt. I neglected to say that Kim Fox is an African American female who runs.
I was going to ask that because I didn't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, I'm just going to circle back around to it, but they wanted to discredit her so badly that they used this young man to do it. Now, at the time when this article came out, Jesse Smollett was in jail serving time. He did exactly 1 week in jail and in court. When they took the case to an appellate judge, the appellate judge released him immediately on bond because his sentence, I think, was 150 days. Am I right, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was 150 days. And his time would have been served if they would not have granted him bond at this time. So he got out last week and he's out on bond. But this whole scenario was to discredit the sitting state's attorney, Cook County State's attorney, Miss Kim Fox. And it's all about trying to make her look bad as a public official. So, I'm sure a lot of people feel like, he is guilty of what he did, but the system is broken, and the part that his attorneys are using to get his appeal is the fact that he was already sentenced, he was already paid a fine, he was already sentenced to community service, which he had served. And then you came back and did a whole trial about this whole case all over again. Somewhere in there, there's double jeopardy. You're not supposed to try a man twice, for the same charge. Now, if you come with some new charges, that's a different story. But they slammed this dude. They literally made a political lynching out of this whole entire scenario. And, in Chicago, we know it's heavy politics. And this whole thing, she came out and spoke against it as the system being broken. Now, here's a person that controls or uses the system as her job. And she is speaking to the fact that the system is broken. So I totally agree with her that they should not have came after this young man the way that they did or abused him the way that he did, because there is a lot of political pressure on this special prosecutor that came out of retirement, by the way, because he was retired. They brought him out of retirement. Um, and the whole system is just totally insane, the way that they're proving that we can do what we want to do when we want to do it to whoever we want to do it to. And that's the issue. Judges in Cook County are elected. This man who sentenced him happens to be one of the judges in Cook County that is not elected by the general public. He is one of the judges that the peer of judges, because he's a relief judge, appoints him as a relief judge. They say, okay, well, this guy's okay, we'll keep him as a relief judge. And he's been in office for quite a while. But no, generally the judges in Cook County are elected, but there are some that are not. And he's one of the ones that is not elected. But, speaking to the fact that the criminal system and the justice system is broken. And here we have a prosecutor, Ms. Kim Fox, who totally agrees with the fact that the system is broken, and this is why it's broken. There's an article that I would, share in the chat so you all can take a look at it and see her comments in their entirety on this news article. But, I know Chris a couple of weeks ago, and his words echo in my heart. He said, there is no justice for us. He said that a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, man, you sad but true, brother. Sad but true. Yeah. So, I throw it to my brothers for comments.
You know what? I wouldn't have cared about anything you just said, except for the fact that I saw at least a TV show or two about the Chicago justice system, and they dogged it out. I mean, they portrayed it as being one of those, exactly what you said, really, really corrupt. I think maybe it was The Good Wife, where her husband was state's attorney or something like that. She used to work for the state's attorney office, and then he ended up going to jail for some kind of corruption. I was like, man, Chicago's like that? But here's a question for you, Ron. Do you think Juicy did it?
Well, I'm gonna have to quote one of your statements. I really don't care if he did it or not. I just think that the situation, did not warrant him being crucified or persecuted the way that he was. Whether he did it or not, I don't agree with the sentencing that the judge laid down, where you're going to pay back the Chicago Police Department $150,000 for investigating your case. That's a bad precedence to be set, and I use, and as an example, we have had cases in history where, and I'm just going to paraphrase, there have been Beckys and Karens that have come up missing. Okay. And all of a sudden they turn up in Vegas after they spent, helicopters, dogs, and days and days and days trying to find them in the woods, in the forest, out behind their house. And all of a sudden she's on vacation with her side boo, and they have never, ever charged them for the investigation. So to set a precedence that we're going to start charging people that we think lied to the police, or whether they proved that they lied to the police or not, that's a bad precedence to set.
Isn't it possible, though, that they did that because he's a TV star and is perceived as having money? I'm just guessing. I don't know.
But that's still a bad precedence. Whether he's a person with money or not, I think it's still a bad precedence, because people lie to the police on a regular basis. You know, they make you lie to them. You know, because they, they come up on you and they intimidate you. There have been cases in Chicago that have been overturned because police have gotten guilty convictions out of people that they beat out of them.
That happens a
Okay.
lot everywhere.
So, there have been cases that have been overturned after people have spent 20, 30, 40 years in jail, and then the truth came out. So the system that they have been using to get convictions, was not a just and fair system. So we as citizens, public people, to defend ourselves, I don't know nothing about it. I ain't do it, and we'll do that, because we feel like we need to protect ourselves because the police ain't out here working for us. They working for how much, conviction rate they can get, and who they can slam on a crime that might not have had nothing to do with it. Like they arrest people and say, you look like the person who did it. They have all of these skits that are on social media now where police are pulling over um, black people in cars that look nice, and then they're, or putting them in handcuffs and abusing them, and then find out that they're sheriffs, state's attorneys, people of importance in the justice system, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you look like the guy." Oh man, we didn't know you was the state's attorney. We didn't know. Well, does that make it okay? It doesn't make it okay. It's a situation where the system from the street to the courtroom needs to be revamped. And I know a lot of the Republicans, I'm just going to call them like that. The Republicans use a fear factor that says that Democrats
Fear
want to
tactic.
dismantle police departments. And, we got a campaign going on in Chicago now. The mayor of Aurora is running for the governor of Illinois, and he's using the Republican playbook. And he's saying, well, we're not going to defund the police. We're going to put more police on the street. When I came back from Afghanistan, I had to clean up Aurora, and we put more police on the street. So he's using the fear factor Republican playbook to try and win people over to vote for him because he feels like that's going to work because, the fear factor works for Republicans. They'll come out and vote. Oh, we have so much crime. And they point the finger, and it's like it's because of the current Democratic governor and the current mayor in Chicago has made Illinois unsafe. Well, it's not. It's not true. You know, and yes, Linda, he is a puppet because the Republican Party put a lot of money behind him to be a diversionary tactic to get in there and try and pull votes his way. But Chicago and Illinois has been known to be a Democratic state, and we do not have a bad governor that is in office now. This gentleman has been doing a great job considering we just came through 2.5 years of pandemic, and he has done an excellent job with the task that was in front of him. Nobody could have predicted what was going to happen. And he did everything in his power. He followed the science. He didn't follow politics. He did everything in his power to make sure the people of Illinois were safe. So this guy coming in talking about, oh, we're going to make Illinois safe again, he's full of crap. Okay. And, I know I'm all over the place, Chris, but it's all kind of related because they are talking about something to try and as a fear factor, to say that, the Democrats are going to defund the police, and they've never defunded the police. They never said they did.
Let me circle back to what you said earlier about State's Attorney Kim Foxx and Jussie Smollett.
Mm-hmm.
This has been going on for 3 years.
Right.
Since 2019. And so in 2019, State's Attorney Kim Foxx quietly, and I do use the word quietly very strongly, dropped the charges against Smollett, forfeiting his $10,000 bond to complete some community service. Let me go back to what Linda A. John had typed here earlier. I'm going to go back and find that. Here it is. I hate she got herself caught up in the mess. And that's what I focus on the most, because you gave Jussie Smollett a free pass. You ignored it. You didn't think it was that serious. And so again, you quietly dropped the charges all against him. From the way I see it, go back to Jussie Smollett, it was something that went very wrong. It goes back to publicity, to what he wanted, because of course on a very popular show on Fox and Empire, making, really a good living and good notoriety. But for some reason, he wanted more. And so when we saw the hearing go down of the charges, and it was Judge James Lynn, who took a half an hour, but that was a good half an hour, because he dressed him down. He let him know that he was a psychopath. He let him know that his behavior was unwarranted. To create that type of stir and lying, he deserves anything that comes to his way, going back to Jussie Smollett. And so the fact that Kim Foxx glossed over it the first time and then comes back and says it's a kangaroo court situation after this final situation, being indicted with the indictments of Jussie Smollett, but it's a kangaroo court. Well, it's a kangaroo court. You are in charge of these kangaroo courts.
What's a kangaroo court?
A kangaroo court is pretty much an up and down situation where anybody can control it, pretty much. And going back to what Dr. Ron said about it being corrupt, it's in that type of category. But you don't see the corruption you did by having Jussie Smollett take a free pass. I think that was corrupt at the time, to ignore the charges and to ignore the fact you're going to drop it all. So
you two are saying that it's true that Chicago court system is really like it is on TV.
It's extremely corrupt. Yes, it is. Ooh. But again, going back to State's Attorney Kim Foxx, who could have done the right thing and threw the book at him, go back to Smollett, she ignored it. It's been back and forth in court for the past 3 years. So I don't feel that much empathy for State's Attorney Kim Foxx. Had she done the right thing in the first place back in 2019 and kept those charges and stuck with it instead of taking it away from him, we wouldn't have been in a situation. The man called himself what? The gay Tupac. He's looking for publicity. Like, you can't make this stuff up. I'm not suicidal. This is the rant he had when he got sentenced and he's going into jail and everything else. I know he was saying, but it's theatrics, which goes back to his original point about trying to get more notoriety. You create the scenario. Go back to what the Judge Lynn said. You create your own stage play, your own movie. You get the Nigerian brothers. You have them get the props, with the ropes and the MAGA caps and everything else. It was all methodical. And then to really insult the fact you have real racist crimes out here, real crimes against people who are homophobic. It was a homophobic disaster. You are pretty much taking the crap on what's happening in reality. Not the reality as Jussie Smollett saw it, but the reality of people going through the real judicial system. You can't drive while black, as Dr. Ron said earlier. You can't do anything while being a certain way, the LGBTQ community and everything else, because people look at you and automatically don't like you for every reasons. It goes back to the fact that you have real crimes out here. And here you are making something up because you want, more money or you want more notoriety when there's real racist crimes, where there's real crimes against people of gender situations. He wasted time going back. He deserves all the time given to him. I'm not cool. He's out of the prison system right now. He should have served 150 days and everything else that came along his way. He wasted time completely.
Well, what you said a little while ago about there was no homicides, there was no murders. It was not a violent crime where somebody other than himself was hurt. Now, everything that's being said that you said was under the impression that he was guilty. Now, I don't deny the fact that the guy got some form of mental illness, okay? Or he was looking for something that he thought he was going to be able to achieve that didn't happen. So everything turned on him went real bad. So for them to be able to create enough evidence to say that he did this to himself was based on the fact of two lovers that they brought forth to testify against him. Okay. Yeah, it got deep. It got deep, Buck. Two African lovers that that he hired, okay, to allegedly, okay, hired to perpetrate this whole criminal act that went down. But I'm gonna say this: I wasn't there. I don't know. They turned it to make it look like he made this whole scenario up and that he had plotted it with these two guys. But I don't know. It's a lot of unanswered questions. Okay. But at the end of the day, the jury found him guilty. Okay. And whatever facts that Kim Foxx had on her desk at the time that she got it led to the decision that she made at that time to dismiss it. Okay, this is nothing. We got other serious stuff to worry about other than Jussie Smollett and his foolishness. And she was just trying to get it out of the system and gone on about your business. You still didn't get what you want. He got fired from the show. Just as a part of what went on, he got fired from the show. He did not make another. What was he making, like $1 million an episode or something? I think he was making some money at the time. Some stupid amount of money, and he wanted more. So
I don't think he was making that. I think he was trying to get that much. I don't think.
Yeah,
he
that's
was
what I think too. Right. I think I think he was trying to get that much, but still, it wasn't alleged. He got caught. He got caught. He's documented. They got the Nigerian brothers. I don't know about them being lovers or about them being brothers. The Nigerian brothers, they're on security camera picking up items. Yeah. I don't know about that. That's a whole different conversation. I don't talk about that.
Brothers.
That's
no. They were lovers with Jesse. Not lovers with each other.
Okay, you gotta make that clear because
no, they were brothers.
Right.
Yeah,
they were all together at the same time. They were probably loving each other. I'm just thinking out loud.
I don't know.
Just thinking out loud.
But he's documented. They're showing the brothers buying all the information, buying all the gloves and the rope and everything else. Right. And going back to the days, Linda has a very good point. I was going to bring up as well. He did pay with a check. Going back to Smollett. So you want to get caught.
But we don't know what that check was for.
It don't matter. He was guilty. He was found guilty on all these accounts.
But I'm saying, if he was sleeping with one or both of them brothers,
that ain't got nothing to do with anything.
I'm just, being, the other side of the coin. Okay, he could have been giving them a check, to go buy
fentanyl,
more KY jelly. I don't know.
Okay, that's all right.
I don't know what the check was for.
Okay.
But the police turned it into a check for gloves, rope, whatever. And I don't buy everything the police say, because the police will lie too. That's all I'm saying. You know, you know, as a person who have seen police do crooked and wrong things, okay, over time,
Oh, sorry, real quick. I mean, hold on, real quick.
Yeah.
Ken has a very good point. Ken Wellington, how you doing? Jesse was paid $65,000 per episode.
Per episode, okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's nowhere near the million that he wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me bring in Mr. Mike Love. What's up, Mike? How you doing, man?
Good. How you guys doing?
Mike,
Good.
Well, the thing of it is, what got him fired was the fact that he tried to hold the show hostage over that $1 million that Ron's talking about.
Okay.
Mhm.
And basically, he had two things going at the same time. So he figured, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll make them feel sorry for me, and then they'll give me the money. But
Mhm.
that was the most asinine
But now
concept.
maybe Terrence was getting $1 million an episode because Terrence Howard
But
was
he was the
star.
show. Yeah, he's
And
like,
he was a movie star.
yeah.
Right.
Well,
He
the thing
commanded
of it
more money.
is, there's a, I don't know if you've seen this. There's a TV commercial where these guys are sitting in a police car and they're focusing on the one character, and so the cop that's sitting on the other side is saying, "Why isn't the camera on me?" And the guy says, "Well, it's focusing on the guy who's
Right.
carrying the content."
Right. I
And
remember
that's
that.
where
Right.
Terrence Howard was. Terrence Howard, and then what's the young lady's name?
Taraji.
Taraji
P.
P.
Henson.
Henson.
Yeah.
Basically, if anybody's gonna get $1 million off that show, it's gonna be one or the other.
Right.
Well, they were both movie stars before they did the TVs.
Absolutely,
There's
yeah.
There's a thing in Hollywood that movie stars don't do TV, and so in order to get them to do TV, if you're a movie star, in order to get to do TV, they have to pay you a lot of money. Like on Scandal, they had to pay Kerry Washington a lot of money, and the fact that Kerry said no at first until Shonda Rhimes, who she's good friends with,
Right.
Shonda said,
Convinced her
"Please
to
do
do
it
it.
for me." Yeah, she said, "Please do it for me," and she said, "For you, I'll do it."
Yeah.
But
And
the money
Taraji
you
P.
got
Henson,
paid.
going back to the whole thing with Empire, she was hired first, and she suggested Terrence Howard. So that's
can
how
see
she brought Terrence Howard in, because she suggested him for the role.
Yeah, I
So
can see that.
you're right. So it's based upon money, but look what happened with him. Not only going back to what Mike said, it wasn't just as a 9, as a 10, as a 11, as a 12.
Or as a whole.
That's true too. Exactly.
Okay.
But you know what? Also, real quick too about
Sure.
movie stars. Just a little side note.
You go right
One
ahead.
of the reasons why a lot of movie stars don't want to do TV either is because they don't want to get stuck in the same role for 7 years. With a movie, they do 3 months with one character and they're gone. They get to
Yeah,
do
it's
something
called
else.
stereotyping. You don't want to
And
get stereotyped.
not just that, right? No, that's true. Typecasting, but
Yeah.
also they get tired of doing the same character all the time. They're actors; they want to play different roles. So that's part of
Absolutely.
it. And that's has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I just want to throw it in there.
Yeah, Jesse
that's-
just
no,
got
that's
caught
cool.
out there really bad.
Yeah.
When you look at and I'm not putting these guys in the same room, but I am indirectly between Jesse and Kanye.
Jussie.
It's a weird situation, because when you try to push the envelope against a brand like Hollywood, it never works. And the thing of it is, even with Kanye coming in, I mean, he went on to have relationships. She went on to do what she was going to do. And then you come back and then you try to hold somebody hostage. It just never works. He had no leverage.
Going against an industry,
Right. He had
not
no
a brand. It's an industry. Right?
Yeah, an industry. That's exactly it. That's what I'm saying. Thank
So
you.
so at the end of the day, he became a political
Mess.
and Kim Fox,
Fiasco. More like a fiasco.
and Kim Fox got caught up in it. No matter what, at the end of the day, she was still the state's attorney. That they went against her and went after this dude, full force, gas all the way on the pedal, and then they got him.
Yeah. But see, the
So-
racism was supposed to come in and save all of that,
Mhm.
and it didn't work.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Or in that case, the alphabet people, was supposed to, it was a hate crime against alphabet people.
Right,
It
exactly.
would have been a gender group that has been suffering, and like the judge said when he sentenced them, that there are real people that have suffered
Absolutely.
because of their alphabet status.
If you didn't know what that means LGBTQ community. Gays.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Just in
So,
case you didn't know.
the alphabet people, still try to rally around him, but the situation, and like she said, she spoke out against the political witch hunt, especially about this case, because they've come after her before, with many other situations and circumstances, dealing with her being in that office. And they always second guess, they always question what she does. But her main point is that the justice system is not properly working. And that's my direction. That's my,
Angle.
what I see in this whole thing is that we got a lot of problems with the justice system. And when you can overturn anything to make it go the way that you want to go, granted, he probably did it. Yeah, he was stupid. Yeah, he need mental help, all of that. Okay, but he shouldn't be in jail. He should be in a hospital. Because if he was a Caucasian fellow, he would be in a hospital getting therapy, right?
Possible.
Yep. Possible.
Yeah, I mean, it was a scheme that just
somebody that stupid need therapy.
I agree. It's just a scheme that didn't work. I mean, and I don't know who came up with this idea. Well, if
His
you put
publicist probably.
Yeah, if you put the racist part in here, they can't fight you.
Right.
And then Black America will come out, they'll save you. The network or the studios will come out and give you the money, quiet all of this down. And it was the worst blueprint ever.
I bet you it was a publicist told him to do it.
Probably so.
But y'all think about it. Even the African brothers that went along with it, they ain't exactly right either. Come on now.
Well, they thought they were going to get paid.
Yeah, and them dudes started singing like the Temptations. Soon as
when they
found
out they weren't. That's right. When they found out they weren't going to get paid.
Right, exactly.
Look,
okay.
What?
Them dudes,
Don't
they
get paid.
picked them up at the airport, brother. And when they took them down, they started singing 5-part harmony, bro.
Yeah.
He did this, I did that. Boom, boom,
Well,
boom,
also
boom.
the police probably told them they were going to go to jail and they were going to they were going to die or something. Police lie all the time. But
Didn't
that's
I
probably
just say that? Didn't I just say that? You made my point.
Absolutely did. Yeah.
All right, Chris, I'm throwing it back to you, man. I think we hit on it, we covered on it. We ain't gonna keep beating this dead horse because it's dead.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right then. So it's dead. It's horse. It's glue. So
Yeah.
we're gonna move forward. All right. All right.
But it was a week old story to begin with. But I just had to bring it. Yeah. So yeah.
So I'm gonna go on and do my story at this point right now because to watch the Ketanji Brown Jackson confirmation hearings has been like must-see TV for me. The times I would catch it, and we look at the Senate Judiciary Committee going through all this. This happens on both sides of the aisle, so I'm not trying to be hypocritical on the whole thing, but it's like we're not going to give you this job. You have to earn it, and go through all the attacks as we see now that she has gone through over the past few days. Let's take it for example before we get to the righteous part. Senator Ted Cruz brought up critical race theory using a handful of books as example of what should happen when it comes down to racism. 2 children's books, Anti-Race Baby and Stamped for Kids. He used it as characterizations for his examples. Of course, he was largely distorted, taken out of context. We knew that was going to come into play. But thanks to him, those 2 titles now skyrocketed to the top bestseller list. So there's some positivity coming out of that situation.
What if he got kickbacks?
I seriously doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it too.
I seriously doubt it. Right.
I'm just kidding.
It's cool. So we look at that going into it. Of course, we got word today that Senator Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said that he would not vote for Ketanji Brown Jackson's nomination.
Of course he's not.
Of course not. We knew that going into it. It's just nice to revel in it because we knew where it would come from the beginning. Nomination. He's not going to nominate for her for the Supreme Court, citing her resources and responses to this week's questions about court packing. So what else is new? And the reason I bring these two examples up out of many, which again is what happens when people are threatened. They don't want change. Change is happening whether you like it or not. She's going to get in. We know that. But just the fact that you have people like the guys I just mentioned, Senator Lindsey Graham, answer the question, screaming at her and things like that, very disrespectful, to say the very least. It reminds me of what the old folks would tell me back in the day when they would try to go vote in their respective towns and try to get the right to vote. And there's somebody across the table saying, okay, you want to vote? How many bubbles in this bar of soap? And just the sheer ignorance of what people would do so that you won't move forward. What was the blessing in all this? Now let's break this down real quick. Diversifying the federal courts. We have 115 Supreme Court justices in the history of this country. 108 have all been white men. We're looking at change, and change is about to happen with her coming on board. It also reminds me of when Clarence Thomas years ago was going through his hearings, according to the Coca-Cola bottle and the whole Long John Silver thing that was going on. And I remember reading an article that it was a Time magazine piece to have outgoing Thurgood Marshall leaving on one side of the page. The other page is Clarence Thomas. He, meaning Justice Thurgood Marshall, did not say not one word to him when they were in passing before they took their photographs. That's how much he knew someone like Thomas, who benefited from the fact that you're able to go through college, you're able to have a career in law, that somebody didn't see you for your skin tone, but someone had bled for you to advance yourself in your family to be the first in your family to do something like that. Go back to Clarence Thomas. Someone like Thurgood Marshall had paved the way for someone like Clarence Thomas.
Yes.
Now, but of course, Clarence Thomas meaning who he is, I don't think we'd ever see it like that. And we look into what we witnessed today with Senator Cory Booker. When Senator Cory Booker said what he said, brought it all home. When he said yes, it brought everything all home.
Yeah.
He let her know that not only are you in good hands, you, my sister, are in God's hands.
Woo!
That was cool.
He brought all the way home.
Yep.
And like he said, paraphrasing, when he goes to church, you're used to rejoicing and making a joyful noise. And that's exactly what he was doing. Because this is unprecedented. We've never seen this before. We have to acknowledge the fact that this is a new day. Let me break down what he said to her. Don't worry, my sister. Don't worry. God has got you. And how do I know that? You're here. And I know it's taken a long time for you to sit in that seat. This is the only time we saw her break down and cry. During all these hearings and all this stripping down, trying to embarrass her and trying to rake over the coals, Senator Cory Booker eased all of that. I think she washed away all the past few days out of the words that Senator Booker was saying. We needed that. We need to hear that. He called his own contemporaries out on the carpet. Because no matter what you say, no matter what you do, somebody got to believe in something. Let's go back to the movie Car Wash. Late great Richard Pryor, playing, Big Daddy Rich. The Pointer Sisters played the Wilson sisters. And what they start singing? You got to believe in something. Why not believe in me?
Amen.
If anything, this has taught us, we got to believe in something. Why not believe in our upcoming Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson?
Amen.
Did you see when Ketanji was confirmed for the appellate court last year? Was it last year? I think it was last year.
I missed it.
That's what struck me at the very beginning of all this, which was this week. But she had just gone through the same process a year ago when she got nominated to the appellate court, which is the number 2 court in the land, and so she was very well prepared for this. That's the cool thing about it. But she knew, and I'm sure she had advisors to tell her, now they're going to go even harder. They're going to go way hard this time. Like it might have been an easy. I don't know what it was like last year because again, it was only the number 2 court. Okay, and so, but knowing that she was more prepared this time, kind of gave me a better feeling. Like, okay, she's going to ace this, and that's probably why they're going so hard because they know she had just gone through this last year, and she was going to be prepared. Because a lot of times, no matter how well you prepare for something, there's nothing like experience. You know what I mean? Experience is the best teacher. And again, a year ago, it's fresh in her mind. Okay, and she's not that old. She'll remember it. So I was just thinking. I wonder how hard they went on at her last year, but regardless, that was a warm up for this.
Yeah,
and she probably didn't even think he was going to nominate her for this. But Joe is not as stupid as some people think that he is. Okay, he knew exactly what he's doing. He's like, wait a minute, why not just go with the girl that I just appointed last year, who's breezed through it? She'll be the most prepared out of all of them. Do it. Smart.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the things about this whole nomination was the fact that she was overly qualified for the job. And that was one of the things that Corey mentioned, that for a person to get this far into the nomination process, you have to be overly qualified to be the first Black woman to even be nominated for this position. So she is overly qualified for this position. And the fact that they tried every stupid, low down antic to try and sidetrack this was totally expected on the Republicans' part. And like you mentioned, Lindsey Graham, he started questioning the fact that one of her decisions was about a child porn conviction. But even with that, he couldn't, say that it was something that she went out of her way to convict this person, aside from what the law said. And even the chairman, Dick Durbin, came back and said, look, if there's something wrong in that conviction, it's what we as senators have not fixed or straightened out in this her letter of the law, in which she convicted this young man. And he tried to make it her fault. Boy, he went out of his way, wouldn't even let her talk.
Yeah, but you know what though? This the Republicans. They're the bully party. That's what they do. They bully.
Yeah, but
nobody's surprised about it.
Yeah, but it was just a sideshow. Like what you said about Ted Cruz. Not only did he bring the books, he bought posters. He had posters about, and it totally didn't have nothing to do with her qualifications to be there, I saw the look on that sister's face. She paused before she answered, and she gathered her thoughts clearly to let people know, look, you're trying to make me answer questions that have to do with politics, and I'm not here to talk politics. I'm here to answer questions about my qualifications. So that committee and the Republicans didn't even understand what their whole purpose of being there was.
They do. Let me jump in, Ron. I agree with you 150%. But
Uh-huh.
the problem is they see with no term limits, you eventually get exposed for having nothing to do. You get sent to Washington. Yeah, they have nothing to do. You see what I'm saying?
That's funny.
So they what they do is they play to the base. The base isn't as extreme as the politicians are about the issues. If you do surveys on the base 90% of the time don't give a damn. Put somebody in there that's going to make the rules and do the job that it calls for, and they're done with it. But what happens is they keep turning the engine, trying to make it look like, the founding fathers and the legal arm of the court, all of that has to be white. And the moment that that's challenged, then we have to raise up and protect that. We're doing that for you.
I don't even think they even care about the base half the time. I
No,
think
no,
they
no.
care about games and power.
No, well, it's
Politics
part of it.
is all about power.
Absolutely. But the base is how they get elected.
Right, and they worry about that around election time.
Yeah, well, no, they worry about it all the time because they don't do the jobs that they're supposed to be doing.
Of course.
They don't go back to their home states as much. Now they've got a townhouse, they've got a condominium, they got a home in DC. They don't worry about going back to their district. How many times do you see on television a politician being in their district outside of controversial moments that they've got to go
or
see?
elections?
Or elections. There you go.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the thing of it is that the game that's being played is I really don't have SHIT to do. Okay. I said this on this show before. When John McCain passed away, they talked about the budget to run his office. It was $912,000. Damn near $1 million. Yeah. So you got copywriters, you got somebody answering the phone. What are these damn people doing? Somebody that's writing, you got a writer that's writing bills that you approve. The public at large believes that senator or that congressperson is actually doing that work, and they're doing nothing. All they're doing is shaking hands and kissing babies. So when they get an opportunity like this to go before the community, they want all the cameras, CNN, Fox, whoever at MSNBC, to put the camera on them because it says, I'm working.
You know what I bet they do a lot of?
What's that?
Which is a complete waste of time, a lot of meetings.
Wait a minute. It's not a complete waste of time. I'm sorry to cut you off. It's how they eat. See, every time you want to meet with a politician, you got to take them to lunch. You got to take them to dinner. You got to buy them breakfast. You have to pay for green fees on the golf course. It's a racket.
Yep.
It's a racket. So you're absolutely correct, Buck. But the problem is the public at large will not respond and say, that's not what I want to hear. This whole circus is all about color of skin. And we're in 2022. The base don't give a damn about that. The only thing that they care about is they can get what they feel they deserve. that has nothing to do with color or skin.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because the same people who make these decisions on a corporate level are bringing in people from other countries that are not European to do their work. So if they're not afraid of Indians, Africans, and Asians coming into banks and corporations writing code, then what the hell would they be worried about from a law enforcement position? There is nothing that one individual can do as a Supreme Court justice to change how we live. Now, at one time in our lives, some of that stuff was active, and one individual could be responsible for swaying things. But that is not happening. These guys are grandstanding. What's that lady's name?
Amen.
Marjorie Greene, grandstanding. Ted Cruz, grandstanding.
Yep.
Mitch O'Connor, grandstanding.
Yep.
That's all they doing. They get in front of the mic. Because they had, if you asked them what they did today, they couldn't tell you anything competent. Hey, what'd you do today? Did you pass a bill? Did you go over here? Did you write a bill? Did you help an old lady walk across the street? Nothing.
Yeah. And, I'm going to say it'll be refreshing to have a Black perspective on the Supreme Court, because we ain't got one now.
Well, of course we don't.
Yeah. Because as Chris eloquently stated, Clarence Thomas ain't one of us. He just looked darker than us.
Well, that's all perversion. Just like then his wife comes out, and then now she's trying to have a role in politics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's really kind of silly that all of this stuff is just going and going and going and going, and it makes no sense.
Look,
And we also know that all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
That's correct.
And he was in the hospital this week. I was saying, I hope he don't recover. I know that ain't nothing good to say, but
that wasn't nice.
I know.
Come on,
I ain't trying to be nice. Yeah.
Apparently.
That's why I said it.
Apparently.
Going back to Ketanji Brown Jackson, one of my good friends' name is James. Went to high school together. He's a chef now, and he's just a fantastic individual. He was on Facebook recently with two of his kids, and one of the daughters is beating upside his head like a bongo, and the other one is trying to pull his face. Just nice, father and children time. And I watched that, and I thought about my own grandson Emery, and I thought about going back to Ketanji Brown Jackson. She'll be on the court. These people on the court like 20, 25 years to shape the laws as we know it or are about to become laws.
Interpret the laws.
Exactly. And I thought about his children and my grandson and my family and everybody else's family. So once again, the precipice that we're about to see here is groundbreaking. So when people don't go back to what I said during the conversation, they don't like change. The hell with it. I'd rather stay and everything. But change, the inevitable, is going to happen whether you like it or not.
Absolutely.
So instead of course, fighting it, you maybe want to try to get on board with it.
Embrace it.
Exactly. But see, that means I got to change this. I got to change my oral. I got to change my draws. And you probably need to, and things of that nature. So, it gets to a point where change happens. Yeah. So let it be. As the song once said, go back to the Beatles. Let it be.
Yeah.
You just might be surprised.
Who moved my cheese?
Right. That's right.
That's a good book, by the way.
It really is. You're right about that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, the base in which these people are playing to, or, kissing their butts of, or whatever, maybe they won't be impressed by their foolishness this time around. I know that's a lot to ask for, but, the questions that they ask were so far off base, and I'm like, they have absolutely nothing to do.
They got nothing to do, man. It's
Right.
just, burning it.
With the subject at hand.
Ain't got nothing to say.
Look, we got my turn for 10 minutes. Oh, well, I'm going to pick my nose at 12:01. I want you to do a close up right here, so you can see me pick my nose real close,
Right.
That's totally irrelevant to what the conversation was. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Back. Thank you. That's all right. No, you're cool. Going back to what Mike said about grandstanding. Yes, absolutely. Let's look at Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz wants to run for the presidency in 2024. This is a great opportunity for him to grandstand, like Mike just said, and put all eyes on me in situations like that, because whoever they're playing to, they could play to the right of Genghis Khan at this point right now. They're going extreme because, again, as I said before on other conversations, the Republican Party let anybody come in and infiltrate and influence and take over the whole party immediately. Even before 45, the Tea Party and those guys came in and took over everything. So you just let anybody come in and take over your identity of who you are all these years. Don't fight back. You got no spine. You got no backbone. You got no life. To let anybody come in and just take over the whole thing. So going back to the whole thing, what's happening now, Ted Cruz and others are trying to vie for the presidency in 2024. So why not get all the camera time you have to start building up your resume? So by the time 2024 hits, you have your PR, you have them in, during the sessions, with her and everybody else, and get all this footage to run for the presidency. And even CPAC, the conservative party, even said, if they were to run for whoever ran for the presidency right now, 70% would vote for 45 all over again.
I was going to ask, who would be worse, Trump or Ted Cruz?
It's even.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I think Ted Cruz is probably a little bit more stupider than Trump.
I don't know.
There's such a word.
And
I'll tell you why.
Yes,
Look,
stupider.
Look,
Right.
let me back that up with facts. Okay. During the conversation that he had with the nominee, he asked the question, I'm Hispanic. Can I go for Asian? Or something to that effect. Like, could I be Asian even though I am? And she looked at him and she said, that's a hypothetical. That's not even real. I can't even answer that question. She didn't even fall for it. So you're going to ask me, if you, being Hispanic, can pass for an Asian.
It's all to make it racist. It's all to wave the flag.
So you don't think that's stupid? I think that's stupid.
It's stupider.
Yeah. It's the stupidest. Yeah, and that's all it is. It's all about waving that flag because once again, it's almost like going the Ukraine-Russian thing. It's crazy because we live in a time and a space where, when someone like the Vietnam War and wars before that, you weren't getting stuff in real time. You see what I'm saying? So somebody's coming back and they're painting the picture and they're telling you the story, and your Walter Cronkite's come in and they take their glasses off. And as soon as they take their glasses off, it's serious.
It's serious, yes.
It's serious. When I take my glasses off, you're sitting here and you're looking at Ukraine, and people are walking down the street. They're getting in cabs. They're going down into the thing to get on the train. Life goes on. And no one but these political figures are trying to basically get your attention so they can get reelected or be voted into a position that you don't care anything about. So then that's when the stealing begins. It's almost like Halloween. They put the costume on, they got the bag, and they're Halloween,
trick or treat,
Halloween, trick or treat, trick or treat, and that's what they're doing.
Oh, excuse me, hold that thought. I want to acknowledge our brother. What's up, Reggie? Said Reggie Miles in the comment section. What's up, brother?
What's up, brother?
Hey. Yeah.
Love you, man.
That's what's up.
We're here for you, brother. We're here for you. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. God bless you.
God bless you. Continue on, Mike.
Yeah, and but I mean, it is so obvious. It's so obvious to look at a situation and saying that, okay, we don't have anything else to do, so let's cause this stir. Let's cause this stir and see if we can get somebody's attention. But when you start talking about entitlement, entitlement is used by every race in this country. When COVID came out and people were sent home and they got unemployment, there was no certain race that didn't take sheer advantage of that unemployment. None.
Yeah.
None. You see what I'm saying? Everybody did it. Now you see trucks going down the street, we hiring. You go pass by a building, we hiring. Everybody's trying. These people are at home chilling, watching TV all day, answering the phone. I mean, you talk to customer service representatives, and I mean they're talking to you on a speakerphone, so you can barely understand when they identify themselves who they are. Most of them are trainees, so you know what they tell them to do? Because they don't really know the job, they tell them to go to the FAQ, the frequently asked questions segment of that particular company's website, and find the answers to tell the customer. They can't even tell you based on experience. That's how bad this whole situation has turned out. Our country is politically corrupt. We've let corporations come in and just pretty much do a massive takeover of any business that they want. So the control goes to a handful of people who actually don't even want the responsibility. They don't even want the responsibility. All they just want to do, I got two people, and I may have mentioned this last week, two friends, two of them, one I worked for, and the other one I work with. And I watched them go from chief revenue officer, the chief operating officer, to CEO. And I'm not saying that there's no just cause. There's just no other reason why they shouldn't do it, because they ain't got nothing else to do. Well, let's go ahead and give Johnny a raise. Let's go ahead and make Buck in charge. Let's have Mike take care of that. Because they have nothing to do. Politicians have nothing to do. DC, our nation's capital, needs a sweet taste in its mouth. And some kind of way, you can't ask the guys to vote on themselves, but term limits got to come in. We're not going to see a change in Washington, D.C. until we get term limits for senators and Congress.
Yeah.
Which will probably never happen. Because I brought that up one time. Everybody was like, when donkeys fly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's something that, like you said, benefits them to stay in office.
Right.
And after they've gotten re-elected so many times, they get like a tenure or something. They get to float through their election process, unlike others. It's just,
it's bad.
Look, the political system is overhaul the justice system.
Totally. Those are the ones that we need to have on trial. I mean, have on what do they call it, Buck, when they interviewing you for these positions. These, what do they call them? These meetings, these hearings. That's what I was trying to come with.
Yeah.
You need to have some hearings on Manchin. You need to have some hearings on Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, but you know what? Though, that's like asking the police to police themselves, and they're not going to be able to do a good job.
But see, the public at some point will get it.
Well, they got
okay. In certain countries, that might be a viable thing, but I think our country has gotten too big to make anything really truly happen. Think about that for a second. We're this big behemoth of a country. Anything moves slowly. It's called inertia. That's one of the laws of physics, and it definitely applies to social issues too. When the country is really, really big, there's too many opinions, too many people chiming in, saying what they think, and it's just almost impossible to get it done. And that's one of the reasons why I think people are so for states' rights, because states are at least a smaller chunk to maybe they can get things done. But even the states are really big, and it's hard to get stuff done when there's just so many people involved.
Well, they have oversight committees that investigate, politicians that get too corrupt,
Right.
and they will smash them. They will take them out. They'll come after them. We've had several Congress people in Illinois that got smashed.
And governor.
Yeah, yeah, and governors. But
But for big change to happen like that, there has to be a revolution.
well,
And revolutions don't come along very often.
and I'm about to say this. Even the January 6th committee is pointing the finger at some of the elected officials that were in the chamber that knew about all of this stuff that was going down.
Right.
So they're not through investigating on that. So it's going to be some more heads to fly. They got a lot of directions and rabbit trails that they're following. So like you said, a revolution, that was a revolution.
Also to keep this in mind, one of the biggest enemies of change is apathy. And our country has gotten so apathetic because everybody just cares about themselves and cares about entertaining themselves. So they're sitting around watching Netflix all day. They care less about the news.
Now, TikTok.
And TikTok, right?
TikTok
Thank
is
you
the
for that.
most watched social media platform to date.
I'm still not on TikTok either. It's too much of a waste of time.
I don't even get it. I mean, I understand you may look on there and see something funny. Somebody tripped over a rock and then they put it in reverse. They tripped over a rock and they put it in reverse.
And somebody
All
will share
day?
that on Facebook. And so I'll see it on Facebook, and that's about it.
You know what?
Same with Clubhouse. I'm not on Clubhouse. Too much. I just got other things to do.
I'm going to throw our fearless leader under the bus.
Don't do that.
He TikToks me at least 3 to 4 times a day with some video he didn't found and that he liked. And I'm like, there you go again.
He's hooked. I mean, there are people who watch. I mean, it's incredible.
Oh, man.
Day long.
You know what it's like? Hey, it's like crack. Who picks up the crack pipe for the first time? It's like if you know it's addictive, don't pick up the pipe. Don't do it. Don't do it. Stop. Don't do it. And next thing you know,
12
you
years
shouldn't have
later.
picked it up. You knew better.
Right. Well,
Well,
I think.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Professor said it best. All entertainment. Put that back. Can you put that back up, please?
Yes.
All entertainment is by design. I am a content creator. That's what my company does. And trust and believe me, everything that we do, we know exactly what buttons we're trying to push.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're hooked on that, you ain't hooked on there because you just have to be walking down the street and there was a crack pipe sitting there. We know exactly what kind of crack you like. You know what I'm saying? And how to get you to walk down that street, Buck, where the crack pipe was laying on the ground. You just doing this skipping down the street. We sent you down that street to pick up that crack pipe.
And we made the crack pipe look pretty.
Come on.
So it was in a bow, and it had a sign pointing down. Free. This is absolutely free. It's the best thing ever. You gotta try it.
That's it. That's it.
I
mean,
used to
it's
always
programmed.
wonder about that too. Seriously, I always used to wonder. It's like if you know, this is back in the day. If you know that crack is super addictive, like it is, what makes you pick up the pipe for the first time? And I even have a friend who used to be on crack, and he told me, he said, it is like having an orgasm for 10 minutes. And I'm like, I don't want a 10-minute orgasm. I mean, I would be seriously hooked, and I'm not even trying to be hooked on anything because I got
Let's
an
go
addictive
back to the
personality.
question. Go back to the question that you asked. Okay, so ask that question.
what would make you want to pick up the pipe in the first place?
Stop right there. What would make you want to do it? You know what makes you want to do it? Because you want to be, you want to be cool. That
Cool.
crowd
Crack
that,
is not cool. Crack is whack.
No. We ain't talking about the usage of it. It's when you get in environments, especially places like ghettos or low-income areas or places where people are under mind control. These people do it because it makes them look hip. It makes them look. It's the same thing with this whole thing with.
You're talking about TikTok.
No, I'm talking about crack and TikTok. I'm talking about the usage. It's not about the product, it's the usage. Because you have a phone. I drive Lyft every day. 90% of the people that get in that car are like this.
On their phone, yeah.
On that phone the whole time. They cannot drive in the car and look straight ahead or have a conversation with the person that's driving the car. They got to look at that phone like that. It's the only time I got to look at the phone. It's almost like a habit. The getting hooked, getting addicted to the product is second or third. Because you ain't never tasted it before. How can you be addicted to something you never tasted before? But the reason why you did it is because you saw somebody else do it and it looked cool.
Okay, so I know somebody who back in the 80s, her boyfriend was selling crack. And he had a lot of it at home, and he would go out, sell crack to feed the family, and she'd be at home bored. So one day she decided to try it.
Right.
And then she was hooked.
Well, that's a small percentage because she was bored.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But once again, I've been in the drug environment. I tell people know I did drugs before. I know what it's like to be everybody in that environment wants to be cool. You cannot be in there and they're smoking weed or they're sniffing cocaine. If you don't do it, you stand out like a sore thumb.
Peer pressure, I guess, yeah.
See, being a person that have been involved in the entertainment industry, it was always some type of drug involved with the artists to help keep them doing what they were doing. So it wasn't so much trying to be hip and cool. It was so much about, I need this to get up to go to work tonight, and that was what they would be doing in order to keep the drive alive.
But they were introduced to it.
Right. Because somebody in the record label side, here, try this. This is going to keep you going. And then that would cause them, because every addiction has an entry point. Heroin, crack, all of it, and every addiction, is just that. It is something that can destroy you if you keep on going in that addiction. In 1980s, when President Ronald Reagan decided to spray paraquat on all the weed in Mexico, then we didn't have weed in the hood no more, because we, and I mean black people, people of color, had a weed problem. But when they dried up all the weed, all of a sudden crack was in the hood.
Right.
Okay, so then it became accessible.
Because I have a question for you, Ron. I don't know the answer to this question. Oh,
let me
sorry.
finish.
Go ahead.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Crack was a European problem. That was a white boy problem. Okay, they were doing it. They had access to it, and they were doing it far longer than we ever thought about doing it. There was a documentary on public television where they went to Colombia and they asked the Indians in the mountains about this cocaine thing. And they told them, well, we decided to create cocaine to try and get back at the Europeans. And when crack exploded in the United States the way that it did, he said, then the black people got in the way. Okay. So that was a documentary that was back in the 80s dealing with cocaine and freebasing and all of those kind of things. There were some things that were going on because the United States government used to bring those type of drugs into the United States to fund some of their espionage, and that came out during some of those hearings that went on. Okay, because that normally was
I'm
not.
sorry, Dr. Ron, hold that thought. I'm gonna get right back to you, but I got to bring forth Professor Reggie Miles.
There he is.
There he is.
Hey,
What's up, my brother?
We love you, man.
Yes.
both
You
hands.
know, so there was, you know, a plot and a plan that was executed, and it was carried out, and it brought forth death and destruction in our communities, and it still does. Okay, so this is something that has not gone away. It still exists. You know, there are a lot of people that make a lot of money from dealing with it. Little kids that are dealing with it, selling it, you know, making it available. We don't grow this stuff in our backyard. It has to come from someplace else. The Contra hearings, like LT says, yes, that's exactly what it was. So, you know, the CIA was a major part of importing all of these coca products into this country. So now, what was your question, Buck?
I don't know. It was 10 minutes ago. I forgot.
Okay. It must not have been important, but go ahead. What's up,
It's the
Professor?
drugs.
What's up, Professor?
Hey, yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
All right, it's interesting. Thank you, Leslie, and thank you everybody for holding me up. You know, this drug thing. You know, I happen to get it, be involved with it, and I was able to escape. I was able to free myself.
Amen.
And well, no, the Lord.
Yes.
Woo! Come
You
on.
better say it.
Preach.
The Lord freed me because I said one name at one time and I was done. Okay, so I don't, you know, I'm not ever making any judgments on, you know, people having their issues doing what they do with that kind of stuff. But the drug thing, a lot of it we did to ourselves, you know. It got, you know, because we didn't get no drugs from them. Some of our own people sold us the drugs, man. You know, so
And then we glorified it with movies like Superfly.
yeah, you know it. Then now you know now you know what I'm talking about. So, but all that was by design.
Exactly.
All that was by design. See, because when you're gonna keep somebody down, you got to keep the pressure from up top to keep them down. You know, a few slip through the cracks, but you know, you can go through all the stuff in the 70s, Superfly, the Mac, you know, even the Pam Grier flicks, all of the entertainment and all that stuff that we've been talked about was about us doing something on the other side. It was never nothing right?
Right.
We were never doing nothing right. What time or at one point did we see us doing anything right? I mean, nowhere. Not until the Bill Cosby made his shows and all that stuff. But now because of what he did, that legacy is gonna be, you know, gonna get thrown away too, you know. So where's the good stuff? Or where's the good stuff that that we've created for ourselves to help us, to be a guidepost, to keep us from these things and these traps that we fall into? How are we helping ourselves?
By faith.
Well, you know, God is in it, but you know, we have a lot of these unnecessary fights. You know, we have the fights, first of all, the man against the woman, then the old people versus the young people. And we got all these unnecessary fights that keep us from the focus of ourselves as a people.
Because we act like we just can't get along.
Yeah, well, how do we lift each other up? How do we do that? You know, well, one of the things is that we got to start ignoring certain stuff that really don't concern us. You know, a lot of this stuff that's going on don't really concern us. We actually need to make some alternatives, you know, so that we can kind of like make better examples for ourselves to do. Okay, so we expecting, with the Senate hearings, and I'm gonna just say that. If any one of us expected any of those players, major players on the other side, to say anything different, we need our butts kicked.
Absolutely.
Need our head examined.
Yeah, right. We already knew what it was gonna be.
So our move is, how are we gonna bolster this? Now, man, don't be crying over what's the boy and what the boy in Kentucky said. And what any of them other cats have been saying, because it's just, come on now.
That's what they do.
A sister, a black woman on the Supreme Court. Come on now, man. You know, it was hard for them to let a woman in. Then they put the Hispanic, and now you're going to talk about putting a sister on there. You know them cats going to scream, man.
Well, but I'm going back to what I said, and I don't know if you heard this, Professor. They're not screaming for themselves. They're screaming for the constituencies that they believe get them elected over and over and over again. It wouldn't bother them if it was a black woman, if it was an Asian woman, they don't care. What they care about is getting elected, because when you get elected as a senator or a congressperson, you got one of the best jobs that you could ever have in your life.
And I hear you.
I believe, but see, you don't tell me what you think, Reggie. I believe that it's that they care about not necessarily their constituents, but as much about winning.
That's what I'm talking about. You can't win without votes.
No. I'm saying the party winning over the other party.
Man,
they don't care.
I think they do. I think very much they care about that.
I agree with all that stuff. I agree with all that stuff. But what is that saying about the people that they represent?
What do you mean when you say, what does it say about
what does that say about the people that they represent? If they causing all this flack to stay elected because they're trying to camouflage what their intentions is, because they're saying, well, the people that's behind me, if I don't say it like this, they gonna vote me out.
Because they appear to be weak.
Well, so this country is really in bad shape.
It's in very bad shape because you have everything at your disposal. You don't have to be red, black, yellow, or green to walk into AT&T, T-Mobile, or any of these stores to get a cell phone. You can get whatever you want in this country if you walk in and you got the money.
No, not money. The French girl,
Monet.
Because everybody wants
Monet. Right.
But
that's my point.
I'm with you 100%. So, racism is a lot deeper.
Yeah, but racism doesn't pay any bills. Racism, all that is just chitter chatter. And it's almost like the hamster in the wheel is just going around. Racism does not make anybody, it doesn't make the masses money, because there are only a handful of people that are billionaires.
So you gonna make me believe that they want to keep all this stuff by design so they can keep making money.
Yes, the politicians. Yes, absolutely. I don't want to make you believe it. It's plain as the nose on our face. I'm not disagreeing with where you're going, but what I'm saying is the whole thing is it's like a masquerade. You get on here and you act like you're gonna ask this woman these questions and you're gonna find out what she's really up to. Like she's up to no good. The woman's got the education, she's got the experience. I think one of you guys was saying that she would what was it, the appellate court that she got elected to before she went to this. She has all the attributes.
The girl is bad, man.
She's bad.
The girl is bad. So, and then for them as a as a person of the masses, I'm insulted for them even running her through the ringer like that.
I think it was Buck that just said it. You just took her through the appellate a year. It wasn't even a year ago.
Yeah, you know you did. I mean, I'm just, and any one of you cats, listen. When y'all talk about getting right, but when there's somebody in there to help us get right, y'all don't want to do right. That woman could help this country get right. Her vote, what her position is. I mean, because she don't appear to me to be like CT. See, but it was cool for CT.
I think that there's some people in the world who just like to fight. You ever been with a woman like that? And all she want to do is just argue all day? Somehow I feel like people in Congress, especially in Congress, Capitol Hill, that's like all they want to do. They just want to fight, and win. All I'll do is win. I'm just like, seriously, how different would the government be if everybody just got along? That it wasn't about winning Republican versus a Democrat versus independent. I was like, what if it just worked together to, get things right?
Now, let me say I ain't saying that to you, Buck, but that's.
No, think about that. Professor, think about what he just said. It's actually genius in its own way. Ted Cruz is a prime example of what you just said. Fight.
Mitch too.
Yeah, Mitch too. It doesn't, but Ted Cruz is even worse.
I can see that, yeah.
But it doesn't, and at the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference. They're just talking. These guys don't do nothing. They're not making. The thing of it is, you send a person to D.C. to protect the rights of the country and the human beings that live in it. That's all you got to do. The job is so simple, it's kind of stupid.
Yeah, but I think when they get there, the majority or the minority whip sits down with them and say, listen, we're a team here.
Well,
so we don't care about what you got going on back home. We don't care about any of your issues. All we care about is beating them MFers. That's it.
Hey, I said
so either you're with us or you're against us. And if you're against us, we're going to crush you.
I said that 40 minutes ago, but you're absolutely correct. I agree.
Well, then it must be correct. It must be true if you said it.
Or if you agree with it.
Exactly.
Let me throw this back, and I want to go back to what you said. It was all this, of course, is just
rhetoric.
Fascinating conversation, because it does, once again, we're here to make people think. And going back when we talked about the whole drug use situation. So Mike Love and Dr. Ron, Mike Love talked about the fact of it being cool. And Dr. Ron talked about it in the celebrity business community. You do it because you need to function. I believe it's both. I believe it's all the above, because it reminds me of the scene from Ray. When Ray is with Marjorie, played by Regina King, he said, I'm going to need you to get me off so I get this drug thing going. And she said, I'll do it if you let me try some. Because being around Ray Charles and watching him work, as you said, crazy, bending some crazy note, I want to be a part of your genius. Because in her mind, that was cool. So let me try to find a way to be a part of what you're doing. So it reminds me of that when it comes to drug use, and people do it for various reasons, but it is cool to certain people, and there's a way to function on a daily basis. So you go back to the whole Ray Charles' situation, he was doing both at that time. So it's amazing how people get into that. But it's fascinating when you see the movie, the next 30 years, now mind you, this is way after he stopped doing drugs. The next 30 years, he was still a remarkable, musician. Some people need that drug for muse purposes. They need to do drugs. They needed to get high because that's where all their, creative stuff comes from. But if you're creative before all that happened, as Ray Charles was, once again, 30 years after, being in sobriety, still was able to do it. So
a lot of musicians, and I learned this early on, a lot of musicians, especially like professional musicians, are they smoke weed because they think that it's going to make them more creative. That's just weed. I'm saying that
right.
probably do a lot more other drugs, but I mean, weed. Yeah, I gotta smoke weed because it's got what. I had a friend from high school, the guy who taught me how to play bass. He went to Berkeley School of Music, #1 music school in the country, and he said everybody there is stoned all the time because it makes them more creative. I was like, really? I was young, I didn't know anything. But really?
You know, one of the things about that drug game too, especially on the entertainment side, you know, they give you that to cripple you.
Exactly. Control.
Right. Yeah, to take what you create from you in the end, because they actually want what you create, because you know they want to make money off of it after you've gone. How many artists that you don't know, I mean that you know of, that didn't have a drug problem or didn't fall into some type of drugs with that? How many can you say that was all the way clean? Not many of them.
Yeah. But you know, but they're handlers.
Right.
You know, they're handlers, you know, because they had a guy that used to work for the label production companies that used to be the dealer on site. And and when they would provide you with your candy of choice, okay, then they know they got you where they want you, because now they can manipulate you, keep you working, and keep you doing things to try and continue making money that you think you got, and then you don't have it, because then they slip you this little note and say, well, you know, you thought all that candy was free.
Yeah, they taking your money at the same time.
Yeah, you know, they're like, wait a minute, you thought all that candy was free? No, that candy wasn't free. You know,
he was paying for it. Wow.
Exactly. And you wasn't even thinking about it, because they got you there to that point, you know. And I mean, you know, it's so many artists that I can name that go all the way back to the 20s, you know, that got hooked up in an addiction, you know, and it destroyed them, their life, their families, everything, you know. And it's not a good thing, you know. So anybody that thinks that it's a fashion statement or something that you want to be a part of, is not. You know, it's an addiction at the end of the day, and it can destroy you and it can kill you. Okay. And I'm like the professor and like Mike, if it were not for the grace of God, you know, I would still be caught up in that circle, you know, like the hamster on the wheel, running, ain't going nowhere. You know, I would still be in that wheel, on that wheel, trying to get somewhere, you know, and going nowhere fast. Okay. So, you know, it is definitely something. I've been getting texts from people that are chiming. They can't get into the chat room. They texting me on my phone, comments about the topic about the drugs. One guy said, Doc, you so close. You're so close to speaking the truth, but 400 years ago, the people in South America said that cocaine would do what it has done and doing. You know, he also said everything in the U.S. concern us because this is our home. You know, this is our home. So everything that's going on. So I don't know why you can't get into the chat room. He's chatting me on my cell phone about comments to the show. But I just wanted to get those in, let him know that I see his comments and I read them out loud.
Well, I like this, what Leslie is saying. Fame is also an addiction.
Yes.
Because a celeb can't do without the fame is a lost cause as well. Now I like that as well. We could point to a couple of celebrities that have been destroyed by just the fame, you know, without even having any other drug that led to other types of for lack of a better word, tomfoolery and what they were doing, you know, in their lives. But I think all of those addictions and stuff like that, once the elite know that they have a cash cow, You understand? The first thing that they want to try to do is get back what they've given you.
They've
You
invested.
understand?
They consider what they've invested.
Well, yeah, well, however it is, but they want to try to get it back.
Oh yeah.
Because how many, they want to try to get that money back. Let's take Michael Jackson for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take him for instance. All the money that he made, they making as much money off of him, off of his death, than he was when he was alive.
Yep.
So and all that stuff. And then what? He got hooked on drugs too, wasn't it? It wasn't cocaine, but
Painkillers.
Yeah, painkillers. Same.
Yep.
And that's hard for me to understand. Same thing with Prince.
Yep.
It wasn't the regular street drugs from the people.
Pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, it was the other pharmaceuticals that, well, why would they need that? Because they had the adulation of all these people and, all this fame, but you never know how fragile an individual is.
But also, Prince and Michael, they were both real serious dancers too. So they did a lot of performing, and in their performances, they did a lot of dancing, and that takes a toll on your body as you get older. So it might have been because of all the damage they did to their knees or their joints as they got older.
They were in pain for sure.
Yeah. So
surgeries.
The painkillers. Yeah. And there are a lot of people who tell you that they got addicted to the heroin because it started with painkillers. It started with something prescribed. And that's why there's been such attention being pointed towards the pharmaceutical companies, because they knew that this stuff is addictive and didn't warn people. And nowadays, listen, any kind of surgery you have, they're hard pressed to give you any kind of opioid. They're like, well, let's try Tylenol. It's like, Tylenol ain't going to help me after surgery. They're very careful about it because nobody wants to be accused of getting somebody started on some sort of illegal narcotic.
Mm.
Yeah.
You're right.
Trip. Yeah.
It's all a game to people who, well, it is, and it's not fair because we're the pawns.
Right.
And we have no control of this type of situation unless you do your homework, unless you ask questions, unless you, try your best to navigate the best way you know how. But if your number was already stamped by the time you got born, by the time it's like, I didn't make this world, the world's already what it was when I got into it. And people like to control. Always the people in power divvies out the privileges. And so that's why we have to stay woke or awake or whatever you have to do, because you can be led to anything. If anybody could tell you something, you fall for it. Always ask questions. Always sit back and say, you know what, that don't sound right. And, and keep it going, because if you don't, it's the classic, you be led to slaughter if you're not careful.
Yep.
You gotta do it.
But you hit on something without even realizing it. But the reality is that you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You can break out of an addiction. I mean, it's very difficult sometimes, but we all can do it, especially with that powerful prayer.
Yeah, you definitely need the help. Because the only way that a person is going to break an addiction is that they have to admit that they're an addict.
Yep.
Right. That's true too. Right. Yeah.
That's the first.
Yeah.
That's the first admission.
Yeah.
And then once you say that, and then you acknowledge that you need help will come your way. As for me, in my case, it was instantaneous, because I said I was tired. And I said, Lord, take this from me. And it was done. I mean, everything. Cigarettes, drinking, the cocaine, everything.
Man, they say cigarette addiction is even harder to break than narcotics.
Now, and I agree with that, because smoke. Listen, all right, here we go. Let's do some nostalgia. Man, give me a square, man. You got to let me. Man, let me hit that square. So
I've never heard that before.
you have okay.
You never heard of square?
Uh-uh.
Oh wow.
Okay. Cigarettes were called squares.
Square. Yeah.
Now I know in England they used to call them fags. Let me
No,
get a
no,
fag.
on the streets of America, squares. If you ran into
Squares.
somebody, you got square, man.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
And
Wow.
being a square, I mean, and having a square was a sign of being cool. Because you remember when Bogey used to let it hang out. When Bogey let him and EG, you know we got cool. And just like you all said earlier, smoking squares was a sign of being cool. Because it was later that they put on the side of the package.
Oh yeah.
The Surgeon General said this will be hazardous to your health. They had to make a law to put that on a pack of squares.
Oh, it was. Wait a minute. You got, like you said, you just said it. You got actors playing the role
In
with
movies.
with the movies. I mean, they basically put it in your hand, lit the cigarette for you.
Hollywood.
Like you said, that was
Hollywood.
Who was cooler than Bogey with
Hollywood.
a square in his mouth?
Hollywood,
I want you
man.
to tell me who was cooler than Bogey.
Nobody.
Humphrey Bogart with a square in his mouth. It was
I'll give you two people who were cooler than Humphrey Bogart.
Who was that?
Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble. If you go back on YouTube and watch the old black and white episode of the Flintstones, because they were sponsored, because they were in prime time. They had Welch's jelly and everything else. The Flintstones, brought to you by Winston 100s.
Yeah.
And then they did a commercial for it. They're in the backyard. Man, they're in the backyard smoking Winston 100s.
Yeah.
Smoking squares. Man.
Smoking, right, yeah. We'll get that square, right.
Yeah, smoking them squares. But, and as somebody.
Why did they call them squares? They weren't squares.
I really don't know.
I think it was because they were in the pack.
I think so,
pack
yeah.
was square. That's what it was.
And that was, it was like me and Bass had this one thing where we had this jive translator,
right.
where if you could study the language that of the Hep Cats, what they did, because I think the Hep Cats started calling cigarettes squares.
What's the Hep Cats?
Hep Cats was really, they were the really cool dudes. Okay, they were really cool dudes that came out in the jazz of music. Cab Calloway,
Basie.
Duke
Ellington.
Basie and Duke Ellington, all them cats, that big band stuff. And they
Quincy Jones.
They had a language. They had a language that they used, and they used that language, part of it as a code to keep people from knowing what they was talking about. You have to just Google YouTube and look up some jive scenes. Yep. And these cats was talking in a way, but that they understood one another. But if you didn't know jive, you didn't understand you didn't know what they was talking about.
Like on Airplane. Excuse me, stewardess, I speak jive. That was Barbara Billingsley, Beaver's mom.
Right.
That was hilarious.
So some old folk could have laying me to the bone, jacking me up tight.
Tight me.
Oh, he's in great pain.
Right.
That was funny.
Yeah, but but that was a coded language that jazz musicians brought forward.
Right.
During the bebop era. And even with bebop, so what was bebop all about? Dizzy Gillespie and them, what they brought forward. Actually, bebop was the representation of police beating black men upside the head with their sticks. Bop, bop, bebop, bop, bop, bop. Because that's how when black brothers got arrested back in the day, they would arrest them, but then they take out that stick and bop, 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 and that was
right. And it was an evolutionary process of music. So like there was jazz, and then there was bebop, then it went forward into other contemporary musics that were, a lot of the artists that crossed over, just like they talk about R&B and they talked about rock and roll. Those were different types of evolutionary process of music. But when you go back to the big band era, oh man, they had orchestras. Everybody had orchestras back then, But you're right about the language. Like in Chicago, if you wanted to be a hip cat, you had to understand Pig Latin.
Mm.
Come on now,
That's
Professor. You
funny.
know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
That was a
That's
whole
funny.
language.
Yep.
That was a whole
Oh, that's
language.
funny.
Yep.
Pig Latin.
Yes, sir.
Ute,
Yep.
I tell you, ute.
Who did a movie on that? Chris Rock? Was that Pootie Tang?
Oh, don't stop me with that. I'm gonna have to go look at now. Buck Pootie Tang was a recent movie. Now that wasn't no.
Yeah, I saw Pootie Tang.
Yes, language was something that was coded depending on who you was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and they use jive, to speak to one another, keep from outsiders from actually knowing what they were talking about.
Now look, did y'all hear? See what LT just said? She said she spoke it quite fluently.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, on the double Dutch bus. Yeah, by
Yeah.
Frankie. What was his name? Frankie Smith or something.
Frankie
Yeah.
Smith, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Chris, I don't know which way you're going, but I got a follow-up comment. I don't know which way you're gonna go from last week's comment. I know you got something with Mike and
No, go ahead and do
Buck.
it. Go ahead.
You want to do Buck first?
Okay. You were doing just fine, but okay, go ahead. Buck, the floor is yours, man.
Oh, okay. I was waiting.
Yeah, I know. I was getting ready.
Was that my cue?
No, I was getting ready to do it, but Ron had jumped in. I figured, okay, let's go and let him go. Go and let him do it. I try to do this thing sometimes, but maybe I need assistance. But go ahead, Buck.
Okay, so mine's always quick. It's gonna be quick this time too. If you can remember, how do you break up with a woman?
Mm.
Do you ghost her? Do you sit down and tell her in person? Like, I used to believe that if you're going to break up with someone, a real man would do it in person. Real man ain't going to do it over the phone, or over text message, over email. I know somebody who did it over email once. And I'm like, really? Well, that is such a anyway. So
She said very carefully.
I was like, how do you do it? One time, now when you live with someone, you can't ghost them. You can't email. You have to do it in person because you got to face them every single day. And I remember probably about 15 years ago, I was living with a woman, and it was time to break up, and I did it in person. And she started crying and crying and crying, I was like, I ain't never doing that again. Okay. That was like, that was rough.
Heartbreak Kid.
Man.
Wow.
I was like, and she was the one I should have kept out of all the women.
Uh-oh.
She was probably, I was stupid. I was stupid. But I was thinking about that. I was like, man. So I'll tell you how I do it now. But I just wanted to hear from real men, the wise, with the wisdom that we have on this show. How do you do it? From the real men. I mean,
I thought you said you was gonna tell it.
I'm going to after I hear from you guys.
Man, I'm gonna do it in song, man. There's a song by Eddie Kendricks that said, tell her love has felt the need.
Ooh.
I could never be what she wants me to be. Eddie can in the morning when she wakes, light of dawn, come touch her face. Classic song from Eddie Kendricks.
So you just play the song for her?
No, yeah, I'd play the song for her, but I would be telling her, well, baby, I got to go because I could never be what you want me to be.
So you use the lyrics you just recite the lyrics.
I would use the lyrics of that song. Plus I got Walter Jackson, it's all over. Plus I got Confunction, I'm leaving you for me. You know,
I heard the
got-
song start as soon as you said that.
yeah, and then and plus then I got the stylistics, and I'll see you no more. If by morning we still feel the way we felt the night before, then let's say no more about it. Just walk out the door, and I'll see you no more. Oh man, that's what I love about our music, man.
Oh yeah, you go back to that classic soul, you get all the ammunition you need.
Man.
Yes, sir. You know, look. Like I told them in the green room earlier, they had a song out that said 50 ways to leave your lover. You know, and then you also got, you know, love don't live here no more. You know,
Rose Royce.
Yeah, that's it.
Love don't live
but
here.
you know,
how do you do it, Ron?
well, you know, when I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, it's just like you get rid of addiction. You ask God to step into the situation and heal me from this this stuff I done got myself into, and then you'll say, "See ya," and that's it. I don't believe I do it. I don't have to be in person to do it. No, I would call a person up and say, "Look, this ain't working for me." And I don't owe them no more explanation. You know, a divorce attorney told me this one time, and I kind of live by this. You know, I was getting ready to explain why I wanted a divorce to my attorney. It was my attorney. I hired it. I paid her money. And she said, "You don't owe me no explanation. The fact that you don't want to be married no more is good enough for me. The papers will be filed and the deal will be done." So I said, that's a good principle right there, you know, because what happens is you don't have to explain yourself to nobody. You grown, you know, it's a done deal. I don't want to be married to you no more. I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. And I don't have to say why, what, when, where, how. None of that is necessary. You know, good luck. You know, that's it. That's all.
By the time I get to Phoenix.
It's all on two turntables and a microphone.
Yeah.
All right, bass.
Well, I did check into the comment section. I put it up earlier with what LT and Linda said. Honesty. I just be honest with the lady. My situation. I was in a relationship with a lady. I don't even call her by her name. I don't want to bring her back into my life. I call her Madam X. And Madam X and I got to a point where it just wasn't working. We're not being communicative. We both were just, you know, break up to make up. And I remember we were on the phone, and I'm talking to her. I'm in the kitchen, and talking about music coming in to save your life. So this was like in the 90s during this time. I'm on the phone, on the radio. I kid you not, it was Sting, and Sting was singing "Free, Free, Set Them Free." I heard that. I said, "Okay, God, I got you. I got to set her free." So that was my main thing to do. Be as honest and could be completely transparent. And it worked. It worked for me. She got upset. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, it's no harm, no foul. It's been a slice, but it's time to move on.
All right. Mr. Love, you're the love doctor.
Most of the time, it's been ghost for me. By the time we get to that point, both parties know it's pretty much over.
There it is. That's what I know.
That's kind of where it's been for me. You know, by the time we get there, we ain't got to go, "Hey, you know, can I sit down and talk to you for a minute? You know, I've been thinking about this." Most of the time, it's been ghost for me.
All right. Professor?
Daddy told me when it's over, it's over.
It's over.
So the records.
Yeah, Daddy told me when it's over, it's over. You know, and man, you know, I just left. If it wasn't working, you know, for whatever reason, I just left. And
that's me right there. Well,
I just left. I just left. And the only thing that I wanted to do is after I left or we left or she left was to be able to say hi to one another.
Right. There you go.
That's all I wanted.
So
to
be
do.
friend. So you could be friends afterwards.
No, I ain't trying to be your friend.
No, it's just not
Oh,
being
yeah.
disrespectful.
Respectful, right?
Yeah, that's all. It's no
Right.
need to go, guys want to call you a B and a W and all that kind of stuff. That's not necessary. You already know how I feel. You know I love you. 9 times out of 10, I know you love me, but we do not get along.
So, and as a result of that, I would say 2 words. And I'm out,
Yeah.
And so in today's society, I would just say, well, I'm out.
Yeah, that's me all day.
Yeah, I'm out because mama said I could do bad by myself. Mama used to say, and one of the ways that mama used to say, don't get to my 3rd nerve. Because if you get to the 3rd nerve, I'm gone automatically. Now I let you get on the first 2. But if you hit that 3rd nerve,
Oh, it's the last nerve.
yeah, that's it.
Mhm.
I'll tolerate, but when you get it, I say, you done hit it, that mean I'm gone. You done hit it, I'm gone. Because it's no coming back. Because when it's over, it's over. When it get to ain't nothing happening because people get vindictive and revenge. It's over. Daddy told me when it's over, it's over. Don't try to make nothing. And then that old saying that if you let it go and it come back to you, then it's real. Okay, if that's the case, then fine, it'll be that way. But when it comes to just checking out, if we have an argument, and I just say those 2 words, I'm out.
Oh,
I'm out. No explanation or nothing. I just say I'm out and going out the door. Because
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, because when you keep talking, that's just, it's like Jeffrey Osborne holding on when the love is gone.
You said it, man. And that's why sometimes when you do it in person or even on the phone and you be honest, like I understand what Leslie's saying. Oh, be honest. Woman appreciates honesty. A lot of times a woman really don't appreciate honesty. But then you start talking. She wants to talk. Women love to talk. Talk. And next thing you know, you're not broken up because she has made you talk your way through it. And good and well you should have broken up. But the next day, you're still there. And she's still there. It's like, how did this end up happening? Because you talked too much. You talked your way through it. So, the times that I have done it in person, it was not a very easy process, but I was resolute, and so it still happened. But it's just so much easier just to ghost them. It's so much easier, and sometimes they get the message, sometimes they don't, and sometimes when they don't, you're like, okay, well, maybe. And I used to be friends with all my exes. We break up. And be like, let's just still be friends. And I've done that before. And sometimes that works out. One of my best friends to this day is somebody that I started off dating. And, we're still friends and it's cool. But we knew that, especially when she went home and slept with her ex-boyfriend, that we knew that after that, it wasn't going to be, it was just good. We just were going to be friends and that's it. Because there wasn't nothing else happened after that.
Saying, whose girl was she?
Hey, one time I found out this one girl I was dating, she was sleeping with her ex-boyfriend, her baby daddy, the whole time. I was like,
Tina Marie, I'm going to have my cake and eat it too.
it was like, yeah. And she would never admit it either. She would never admit it. But I'm like, come on. She married the guy. After we broke up, she married him. That's her baby daddy. I wasn't mad. It was her baby daddy. But yeah, I found that ghosting is easier. But I can actually be friends with a woman after we break up. It's just a little bit of time, at least a little bit of time has to pass. And then we can be friends, but and we ain't going back there again because you know how quickly that can turn back into something that it shouldn't be. You know what I mean?
You're good, man.
Yeah.
You're good. I can't. No.
And I
Hell
tell
no.
them, And I tell them, hey, I can be a friend. I have a lot of female friends. Most of my female friends that I have that are female, just friends, I never slept with.
Right.
But I can do that. It's okay. I mean, I can keep my dick in my pants, and
Yeah, you're right.
How come he didn't call me? For what?
But listen, once you break up,
you haven't called me. Why I ain't heard with you? Well, for what?
But once you break up, all those expectations are gone, and you ain't got to deal with nobody asking you a whole bunch of questions. And like you said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about where I've been. And I've even got to the point where the one who's still friends, we're still good friends to this day. We talk about each other's relationships, and she'll be like, "Well, she'll almost always take the other girl's side. Oh yeah, well, you were wrong. You were wrong." I'm like, "How did I know you were gonna say that?"
Because you was wrong.
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever. I knew you were gonna say that. So anyway, I was just curious because sometimes I feel like a real asshole doing it that way, but it's just, man, it's so much easier. So much easier just to cut it cold.
Yeah, just cut it quick and get out of Dodge. Man, just cut it loose and get out of Dodge and try to what they call that, a clean break. And then when you all meet, and then when she say, "Well, you left me," well, I had to, and just leave it right there. And pick it up right there. But when you go back and have to get into all them conversations and stuff, then the doubt come in, man. And then this whole, but when you make up your mind to go.
Yep.
Same thing with the ladies. When you make up your mind to go.
Because if you don't, you're gonna end up back together again. And you see people break up and then make up, get back together, break up again. And it's like all that if you're going to break up with her in the first place, you probably should have stayed apart. It's like, why'd you get back together with that person? Did you forget all the other stuff that happened between you two? Well, and the answer is always the same. Well, I don't know how it happened.
A lot of time ghosting happens after y'all have slept together.
Well, that's actually a good point, because that does happen because you let the physical overrule the mental, and you haven't taken the time to get to know the person. You just see it and you go, "Ooh, I got to get that. I got to have that right there." And then you start saying, then you're saying things and making commitments and doing things that you may not normally do, or accepting things from your partner that you normally don't deal with. But you're not being compromised, you're compromising yourself.
But sometimes you justify it by the good outweighs the bad. Like I've had some that I had so much fun with and just had so many laughs, and I remember those. And so when the bad stuff would come up, I'd be like, well, yeah, but the good outweighs the bad. You know what I mean? And
Most of the time, I don't find that out until after I've crossed the line. If I know the good versus the bad before I go too far, I'm not gonna do it.
Okay, now as a brother, when I met my wife, I was done. I was cool. I had made that decision right then and there. And when we get to that point, when we make that decision on that girl, and we ready to stay commitment to that girl, it's gonna be for better or worse. It ain't even no question about that. It don't listen, cause that woman that I'm married to, man, we could argue 5 out of 6 days of the week. But at 10 o'clock, baby, are you all right? I was gonna say something to her because it was gonna be over. It's over, because the difference is just for that moment. It only lingered just within that time. But brothers, we have to get like that. We have to get to that point where we want to deal with that woman. And then our woman, who the choice that we have, then she has to be that same way. See, we spend a lot of time on figuring how to let's do the Al Green and figure out how we can stay together. how we can spend more time being together with one another. Let's be tolerant.
Loving you forever.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish that I had met the right girl early on in my, teens or late teens, early
What's
20s,
the such
and
thing
stayed
as
with them.
The right
what's
thing.
what's the such thing as the right girl?
Don't be asking my questions. I don't give
I don't. They say that's one of the keys to success in life is, meeting the right person to stay with them.
I met the right girl. I met the right girl of mine. Shoot, I had plenty of women before my wife, and I met her like 22 years ago, and I was like well in my 40s. I was in my 40s when I met her, right? So,
wow.
So when is the right time? And the right time is when you could, for me, this is for me with my wife. When I looked in her eyes, I saw how much she loved God. And that how much that she loved God was reflective of how much I loved God.
Amen.
And right there, I knew it. So for better, for worse, for whatever it is, I co-signed that. Till death do us part. I co-signed that right there. I took it. Of course, I was tired. I had been around the world. I was Angie, Mary, Melinda. I had all these choices. But, whenever something happened to me, the only one that was there was the one that I was married to. So for me, it was just me having Felicia. I've had experiences, but it was only me having the woman that loved me back. Because my wife, when she was on the phone, it wasn't 15 minutes before she was saying Reggie this, Reggie that, Reggie who, regardless of whoever she was talking to. You understand? So that's how that went down. But that only comes to us when we ready. The question is, are you ready to have that type of love? Or do you want to have that type of love where you're gonna mix the bitter with the sweet? That's what Mama used to tell me. In order for it to last, you gotta mix the bitter with the sweet. When you get a bump in the road, are you just supposed to quit? Now, the only thing you ain't fighting no woman. You're not calling her out on her name or nothing like that. You treating her with the ultimate respect at all times when you want her to be your wife. You understand? But brothers, it's some things we gotta go through because we say we ready, but a lot of times we ain't ready.
I was gonna say, a lot of times we're not ready.
A lot of times we're not ready, man. We're just not ready. And so, and like you said, we think we have this perfect girl and we blow it. And then 20 years later, we realize, oh man, that's the one. But we're not ready all the time. Yeah. Brothers, I mean, we do some really dumb stuff, man. We really do some dumb stuff, thinking that we all are this and we're all that. And the one thing that we forget is that she's a gift from God to us.
There's been some wisdom passed around here. That's why I brought it up, because I know you guys, especially collectively, got wisdom. That's for sure.
Can't forget she's a gift, man. We cannot forget she's a gift. When we be in love with God, right? He gifts us. That's what he did with Adam.
Woo!
Right?
Woo!
Uh-huh.
Come on, boy.
He said it was God who said it is not good for that the man should be alone. See, I'm gonna make somebody for him. Reached in him. Next day, this woman was made. So, and when we see that in our intended now, but see, because it's a lot of stuff we be messing with that men are messed up in the head with, right? Because I'm going to tell you one time, right, in my young years, if you weren't yellow, I wasn't going to talk to you. You know, and then the dark skinned girls had a hard time till and then I went with the dark skinned girl. We get color struck, right? And we go through, you got to have certain type of bodies, and we doing all this stuff, forgetting that she's a gift to us. Forgetting that. Because you know how cats say, man, I'm the king, I'm this and I'm that and other. When every great king, most of them have had a woman as to keep them there. My greatest highs came being married to Felicia. I exceeded anything being married to her. Now I'll never know if I could have done these things without her. But I tell you what, I like the script the way it went down. I wouldn't, I wouldn't want to do it without her. So, man, it's like, it's us. We got to get it. We got to get it ready. We got to get it ready. We got to be honest with ourselves on how we dealing with these women. We go through phases. We go through phases in life, man. That's right, Ken. Those red bones, man. I had to have a red bone, man. Then the girls with the long hair, right? And then the other physical attributes, because it was like all of us, we were dealing with this coming to America, right? All of us come to America. And like in the movie Eddie Murphy, you trying to deal with all these women. But when you do get, if you haven't burnt yourself out all the way, and you do get blessed to really see the gift that God has given you, you'll be right by her. But we got to get ready for it. Some of us never get ready for it. Some of us don't want to be ready for it. Some guys love what they're doing. It's some guys out here that got multiple kids with several different women and stuff like that. That's the way some guys live their life, and that's cool. But when you get ready to focus on that one sister, you'll do what you're supposed to do.
Man, absolutely. You can't get it better than that. I mean, everything they just said, Reggie, makes all the sense in the world. And just the fact that you have to be ready and you have to be prepared. Like when I was married, I became the elder statesman, quote unquote. I was like the only guy married, and my guys, were in relationships with girls and girlfriends and everything else. And hey, babe, let me talk to you for a couple of seconds, man. I've been going Marie now for 4 years, man. I'm thinking about marrying her. What do you think? And the first question I always ask the brother is, are you a punk? Oh man, what do you mean by that? No, let me explain what I mean. If you're a punk and you make life revolve around you, then don't get married.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it, because you're going to ruin not only her and you. It has to be a two-way street. You have to love. It's a give and take. Being married not only is love, but it's the fact that it's hard work at times. And my man said from the movie, it's hard damn work. Going back from White Man Can't Jump with Wesley Snipes. You have to put in work, and it's the both of you. And then you factor in children. It's all of you. And to keep that love going, you're going to have challenges, because life does what it's supposed to do. But can you sustain it? Can you maintain it? Can you be strong? Can you rely on the person next to you to have your back and you have theirs, and everybody together collectively? It ain't for the punk. If you're a punk and you're a selfish dude, don't do it. But if you want that love and that bond, and dare I say that family legacy, you go all in, and you'll be ready. All in. Absolutely. We got any final words before we take off? Anybody want to say anything before we do the thing?
I'm good.
Well said, Professor. Well said. Yeah, I had a follow up to the cameo from last week when we talked about Shaka Khan. I did some more research on Cameo. I had put a picture in the share because we were talking about how much she was charging to have a 10-minute conversation with her.
Was this it
You know,
here?
yeah, that's it. You know, that's crazy, man. She's looking for $1,950 to have a 10-minute conversation with her. And we talked about this last week. And I went and looked at the Cameo website, and they have a bunch of celebrities. Me and Lee were chopping it up last week and guesstimating how much some of these people were trying to get. They had sports, they had everybody. And when I found this, because nobody had seen it before, I just went and found the article off of Instagram or the comment on Instagram just to show everybody. I was not making this up. $1,950 for a 10-minute conversation with Shaka Khan. Okay, So I just wanted to share that, and that was it. It was just hilarious. And of the amount of people that are on that website, with conversations for 600, 200. Oh man, it was unbelievable.
I guess you got to do what you got to do, because once you when you get old, and the way that the young people are moving towards their own avenues, you still want to keep that money coming in. Because ain't no young person care about no Bootsy or no Shaka Khan. They looking at a young Jeezy and whoever the other cats are, the other hip cats that are out there doing their thing now. So I see that. I see that.
Yeah.
But their legacy, right? They selling their legacy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Well, gentlemen, I've got to get going. I think this is a phenomenal show. That we had a great show. Y'all can keep going. I mean, I just got to get out of here. I got some stuff I got to do. But,
Peace.
Okay. All right. Well, you can't get a better ass hit than that. That's a big ass hit. Oh, you've been checking out Street News Now. 6 guys and you catching on the various time zones. It's like, get the hell up out of here. Okay, we're gonna do it just now. 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 8 p.m. Central Time, and 6 p.m. West Coast. Going to do that continuously. Go to the YouTube channel, SNN Street News Now. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and make sure you share. For Dr. Ron Ford, for Buck, I got to get the fuck out of here, Wilde. Also to Professor Reggie Miles, to Mike Love, and our fearless leader, Lee Michaels, Chris Bass, telling you to continue to be peaceful. Take care.